Alright, don't look now, but the Detroit Pistons have been very good lately, and one of the best teams in the entire NBA for about the past month now. Following the All-Star break, they are now one of 3 undefeated teams, having a perfect 4-0 record, currently are riding an 8-game win streak, tied for the best record in the NBA in that time frame, tied with the Cleveland Cavaliers, coming off back-to-back wins over the Boston Celtics and the LA Clippers, so don't go around saying they don't have a quality win. And that's the best win streak they've had dating back to 2008, so it's been quite a long time coming for Detroit. Even on top of that, in their past 10 games they have been 8-2, tied for the 3rd best record in the NBA, are 4th in offensive and defensive rating in that time frame, or dating back to their past 15 games, they're 10-5, tied for the 7th best record, and then are 5th in offensive and 10th in defensive rating in that time frame, or overall being 5th in net rating. So no matter what we look at it, very impressive run for Detroit here, and not simply a 1 or 2 game sample. They've been very good for about a month now, and quietly been very good for a majority of the season. And with them now sitting at a record of 33-26, currently being the 6th seed and very likely to avoid the play-in tournament altogether. And I mean, who'd have thought that, especially after last season? Who's to say that Detroit can't make some noise and not be one of the best up-and-coming teams in the NBA? I mean, with Cade Cunningham leading them, this season averaging about 26 points per game, 9.5 assists per game, over 6 rebounds per game, and shooting a career high from the 3-point line and the field on top of that. Definitely an up-and-coming team, and with a very good up-and-coming star and maybe even superstar at that. I mean, showing off what he can do the other night against Boston, absolutely tearing them up, and definitely through the high pick and roll game, going after them time and time again, even with Drew Holiday and Derek White defending him, 2 of the premier defenders in today's NBA, and that tells you a lot about Cade Cunningham. Going at them and continuously being able to beat them, not only go at them, but get right by them and directly to the rim, either score for himself or dish it off to an open teammate, like on this play, getting past the pick and roll play and getting past Drew Holiday, getting to the rim and making Porzingis commit to him, then quickly dishing it off to a cutting Isaiah Stewart at the rim. Very impressive and really not that surprising when you know about the game of Cade Cunningham. Not only the height and ability to get where he wants to on the court, with the great ball handling ability and great vision on top of it, but then simply his playstyle. Out of the entirety of the NBA, only one player goes to the pick and roll game more than Cade Cunningham, that being Trae Young, accounting for about 12.4 pick and roll possessions per game, compared to Cade Cunningham at 11.3. And of the 11.3 possessions, he scores about 10.5 points per game out of it, accounting for nearly 1 point per possession, shooting about 47.4% out of pick and roll play, having the effective field goal percentage of 53.5%, and simply being very efficient and effective in the pick and roll game, which is pretty uncommon for about a 6'7" point guard, weighing about 220 pounds, and one averaging over 6 rebounds per game to go along with it. So definitely a bit unconventional, but a very unique and versatile player offensively for them. And like I said, behind him, who knows where they could go. Definitely an up-and-coming team and definitely an up-and-coming player with their team. But it's not only Cade Cunningham, definitely a good arsenal of players and supporting cast around him. And one of them that's been stepping up big for them lately does happen to be Malik Beasley. I mean, post All-Star break and only talking about 4 games here, the guy's been averaging about 19 points per game in only 25 minutes per game, knocking down nearly 5 3-point shots per game at a 53% clip, or on the entirety of this season, having a career high in pretty much everything across the board. You know, points per game, nearly 17 per game, shooting about 42% from 3, overall being a great player for them, whether it's in their starting lineup or coming off the bench, and he's really kind of peaked coming off their bench, being in the running for that 6th man of the year and probably the favorite in my opinion, being a great fit for their team and a great fit with Cade Cunningham on the court. Or then a veteran on their team like Tobias Harris. You know, a lot of people clowned him for going back to Detroit and taking the money while doing it, but he definitely appeared to make the right decision here. During their past 10 games now, averaging about 18 points per game, shooting 58% from the field and 35% from 3, having the highest plus-minus rating on their team by far, nearly about a 20-point differential, being a great vet for their team, being super reliable offensively, a good rebounder, good versatile wing player for them, and definitely some great veteran leadership on their team. Or then to a guy like Jalen Duren or Azar Thompson, and hopefully Thompson does not have a long-term injury here. That was a pretty scary injury that he suffered against the LA Clippers, and hopefully he is healthy, but regardless, has made a great impact for their team, really on both ends of the court. You know, might not have that 3-point shot down yet, but that's the only part missing of his game and his brother's game too. but in their past 10 games now, averaging about 13 points per game, with 5 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, nearly 3 steals per game, and no, I'm not joking about that, an absolute menace, pest, whatever you want to call him on defense, their best defender and probably the most impactful defender, one of the most impactful defenders in the entire league at that. Then pair him with a great rim protector and a very physical big like Jalen Duren, and not to mention them both being under the age of 23, and you have a great front court or simply a very versatile combination in the future with them. With Jalen Duren, in their past 10 games now averaging about 13.5 points per game, not to mention 12 rebounds per game and only 26 minutes per game, aka about 14 per game, and that's one of the best in the entire league. Great rim protection, absolutely great lob threat, a great defender in general, and all around have a good supporting cast and a very young supporting cast at that. Now I could go on mentioning other players or little things they've done here and there, stats or whatever it might be, but I simply wanted to give credit to the Detroit Pistons and shout out what they've done, both from a record standpoint, an individual standpoint, on-court standpoint, and how underrated they've been for the past month now. And again, with them very likely to make the playoffs, who knows, they could make some noise and regardless are going to be a really fun team to watch going forward. And with that being said, what do you guys think? How have you felt about the Detroit Pistons, or have you even heard about them, given that the media is not talking about them or giving them credit? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I would greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.